In the cradle of civilization, life was a fragile thing. In the great city of Akkad, rising from the Mesopotamian dust, civilization was a fortress of mud, brick, and order, built against a world of chaos. Humanity had learned to chart the stars, to write its laws on clay, but it had not yet conquered the darkness. The deepest fears were not of mortal enemies, but of the things that lurked just beyond the firelight, carried on the whispering desert wind. For Ninsun and Lugal, the world had shrunk to the size of their small home. Their fortress was not against armies, but against the silent, creeping anxieties of the night. Sickness, spirits, a sudden fever, any number of unseen evils could threaten the new, precious life they had created. Their son, born only 7 nights ago, was a miracle, a tiny flickering flame they were tasked with protecting.
Hello, my
until
loves.
he could become a fire of his own. In a world of gods and demons, this was their most sacred duty. The first sign was the wind. It was the dry season, when the air should have been still and heavy with heat. But on the 8th night, a strange breeze began to stir. It didn't rattle the door hanging or kick up dust. It was a cold, unnatural current that seemed to flow through the thick walls themselves. It carried with it a scent, not of sand or clay, but of dry bones and dying lilies. Ninsun felt it first. As she watched her son sleep,
Oh no!
the fine hairs on her arms stood up. The flame in their oil lamp guttered and danced wildly, casting their shadows into monstrous shapes upon the wall. Lugal, ever the pragmatist, dismissed it as a sudden weather change. But later that night, as they lay on their reed mats, a sound drifted from the darkness outside. It was the faint, restless cry of a night bird, yet it sounded disturbingly human, a sound of profound and ancient grief. Ninsun pulled her child closer, her heart hammering against her ribs. This was not the work of nature. On the 9th day, Ninsun, her face pale with sleeplessness, spoke her fear aloud. She told Lugal of the cold, of the cry, of a chilling feeling of being watched by hungry eyes. Lugal's stoicism finally broke. He had heard the old stories from his grandfather, the brittle whispers shared only in the darkest hours. He spoke of a specific kind of demon, a spirit of the wind, a terror that preyed exclusively on the most vulnerable. Her name was Lilitu, a night hag, a specter of jealousy and rage. The legends claimed she was a barren spirit, eternally denied the gift of a child. In her unending sorrow, she became a predator. She would glide on these phantom winds, drawn to the scent of new life. She was the reason for the unexplained emptiness in a cradle at dawn, the chilling silence where a baby's breath used to be. She was a monster they created to explain the inexplicable, to give a face to the sudden, cruel thief of life that they called the Hand of the Ghost. Fear now had a name, and a name could be fought. Lugal knew they could not face a spirit with bronze or muscle. This was a war of magic, a battle of wills. The next morning, he took a small handful of the remaining grain to the temple scribe, a man learned in the old ways. He commissioned an incantation bowl. The scribe, a wizened man with eyes that had seen generations of fear, took a simple earthenware bowl. With a reed stylus, he began to spiral ancient cuneiform script from the rim to the center, his voice a low chant. He wrote an inescapable spiritual trap, a binding oath invoking the names of the great gods, Enki and Inanna. It was a legal notice served to the spirit world, a command for Lilith to stay away. to return to the desolate wastes. The ink was a mix of soot and water, simple ingredients for a spell of ultimate power. The finished gold was not just clay, it was a shield, a weapon forged from belief. That night, with the incantation bowl buried upside down beneath their doorway, a fragile sense of hope settled over the small family. Lugal held Ninsun, assuring her that the gods and the old magic would protect them. But Lilitu was a sorrow as old as the mountains, and she would not be so easily denied. The cold wind returned, this time with a vengeance. It pressed against the walls, moaning through unseen cracks. The lamp flame shrank to a tiny blue point of light, then was extinguished, plunging the room into absolute darkness. The only light was the faint moonlight filtering through the high window. Ninsun and Lugal sat frozen on the mat, clutching their child. Then they saw her. A form began to coalesce in the sliver of moonlight. Dust motes and shadows swirled together, taking the shape of a woman, but wrong. Her bird-like talons scraped silently on the packed earth floor, her glowing eyes fixed on the small bundle in Ninson's arms. She glided forward, her presence a crushing weight, a wave of absolute despair. The incantation glowed faintly beneath the floor, but the demon was already inside. It was a trap for the doorway, but she had come through the window, through the very walls, a being of air and shadow. What happened in that room is a story without words, a parent's ultimate horror, played out in the suffocating dark. The terror of Lilitu did not die with the Akkadian Empire. A story this powerful, this primal, never truly dies. It seeped into the beliefs of those who came after. The Hebrews would know her as Lilith, Adam's first rebellious wife, forever damned to walk the night. The Greeks would whisper of the Lamia, a beautiful queen who became a child-eating monster after losing her own. Over centuries, her story splintered and evolved. Her predatory nature became the archetype for the Succubus, a seductive demon that drains the life from sleeping men. Her tragic jealousy, thirst for life, became the foundation of the female vampire, a creature of eternal sorrowful hunger. From the sun-baked mud bricks of Akkad to the Gothic castles of Europe, the shadow of Lilitu stretches long. She is proof that our greatest monsters are not born of fantasy, but are given a face and a name to explain our most profound and timeless fears. So when the wind howls in a peculiar way, or a chill runs through a warm room, remember her. Remember the fear of the world's first cities,